don't want nobody on podcast this upcoming season. I don't want comments on a podcast about who should be paid, who should not be paid. Let Jerry Jones worry about that. And Jerry Jones, don't you come out and say anything about that contract. Micah Parsons, do not have a podcast coming out at all during the week. I don't care what you think about Pat Mahomes playing next week. I don't care what you think about Russell Wilson playing next week. I don't care about what you think about Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert. The list goes on and on and on. I don't care. Jalen Hurts, the game coming up against Jalen Hurts, fuel to fire, bulletin board material. I do not care. I care about you getting behind the scenes, getting ready for Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another video today. So it seems Malik Hooker had a lot to say on Keyshawn Johnson's podcast about Micah Parsons and his podcast. So I guess that they were having some drama, and Malik Hooker had a lot to say. Malik Hooker is a seasoned vet. He is the starting safety. It's going to be the starting safety season. And he said, and I quote, "Are you caring about the crowd that's watching your podcast or caring about the success of our team? Super Bowl we're trying to." He also said, if the run game is terrible and you're doing a podcast weekly, what are you really caring about? And Micah Parsons came back and said, "Just wish you said this to me, but instead on some podcasts. Why ain't we talking about everyone preparations and focus league game of the week? I mean, I can point out a lot of other things, but Micah Parsons also said, and you got my number. You are my locker mate, so you could have said this any day. And you do realize I shoot the podcast on our day off. Why can't we talk about everyone's preparation and focus league game week? I mean, I can point out a lot of other things, but I'm just not." And on top of that, he did say that Micah should be last on the list for getting an extension, specifically fourth on the list. As you know, or let me rephrase this. Let me speed you up to this. I am not a fan of Micah Parsons' podcast. I'm not. I love Micah. He is the king of our defense. Without him, we wouldn't even be as good as we need to be. But some things need to be kept in the locker room in order for your team to succeed. Do I agree with Malik Hooker's quote? 100%. But should this have been said on Keyshawn Johnson's podcast? Absolutely not. Should have never been said. Should have went to Micah one-on-one, man-to-man. They are locker mates. Say, "Hey, Micah, I don't think you need to be talking on your podcast weekly. Worry about us. It should be about us. Don't worry about what Pat Mahomes just did on Sunday or Monday. Don't worry about what C.J. Stroud threw for on Thursday night. Worry about that when you retire from the game and you want to do TV when your career is over." He's done a great job with his podcast. He has a good production crew. He's got great camera presence. I'm a fan.
Let me rephrase. I am not a fan of Micah Parsons' podcast. I simply want to state I am a fan of his production and his wonderful crew that he's assembled together for his podcast.
I think he does a great job. During Super Bowl week, he did a whole thing with Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, the whole bit. It was great. Stephen A. Smith, great, fantastic. I think he's got a future in TV. But for right now, Micah, you need to get us out of this hole. We need to win in the playoffs. That guy that you interviewed during the Super Bowl in Jordan Love kicked your tail on the defensive side. I don't care what Dak and him did. They dropped 50 on us at home. And you're interviewing him 2 weeks after? Talking about y'all's game plan to beat us? Really, Micah? Really? Do you take up for us when you're on the show? Absolutely. You were giving it to C.J. Stroud, saying they wasn't a team of Texas, and when that game comes up this coming season, we'll lay the ball. But is Malik Hooker 100% correct about what he's saying? Yes. Stop worrying about the podcast and who's watching your podcast. Worry about the success of the team and the Super Bowl we want to reach. But is both sides are true? Is Micah Parsons right about keeping this between us, not going on a podcast saying this? Yes, because I feel like podcast right now has become another example on why the Cowboys will never win anything and why they are immature. This franchise is immature. Jerry Jones is just an adult child. Everything's all about me. It's not about the team. I want to say what I want about my team. I own this. general manager of this team. I'm the owner of the team. I say what I want. I do what I want. I want the cameras on me after every game. I want to say what I want to say. I pay who I want to pay. If Dak wants his money, I'm going to be the one to pay his money. CD wants his money, I'm going to be the one to pay CD the money. It's not about the team. Nothing about this franchise in the past years has been about the team. If it was, Micah Parsons wouldn't be having a podcast. Jerry Jones wouldn't be having to say something after every game. The Cowboys wouldn't be the laughing stock of one of the last laughing stocks of the league. This right here is the reason why we don't win. Stuff like this is the reason why we don't win. Did Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce have their podcast? Absolutely. But they've won! The Eagles just won 7 years ago, and were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The Chiefs are back-to-back champs. They deserve the right. And on top of that, they're the only ones bringing headlines into their franchise with that podcast. You don't see Pat Mahomes on a podcast or on an interview saying stupid stuff. You don't see their owner doing anything. Outside of Travis Kelce, there's nobody running their mouths. Don't hear nothing from Chris Jones. And with the Eagles, you don't hear nothing from Jalen Hurts outside of, hey, we got to work on our, it's about it. Got to get better. You know the Jalen Hurts talk. He says that there every game. Even when the winner loses, it's the same thing every time. He's so still on the mic. It is stupid. But Jason Kelce was the only one talking on Philly. Yes, you had Nick Sirianni too, which is, he's got the most punchable face of all time. But outside of that, they won. They were winning. They went to the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons, we can't get past the divisional round. Put your pride, put yourself to the side. If you too, Malik Hooker, I'm talking to you too. Don't go on Keyshawn Johnson's podcast. I don't want nobody on podcast this upcoming season. I want you in the locker room, in the film room. I want you at the Star practicing, working on our craft to win a Super Bowl. I don't want comments on a podcast about who should be paid, who should not be paid. Let Jerry Jones worry about that. And Jerry Jones, don't you come out and say anything about that contract. Micah Parsons, do not have a podcast coming out at all during the week. I don't care what you think about Pat Mahomes playing next week. I don't care what you think about Russell Wilson playing next week. I don't care about what you think about Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert. The list goes on and on and on. I don't care. Jalen Hurts, the game coming up against Jalen Hurts, fuel to fire, bulletin board material. I do not care. I care about you getting behind the scenes, getting ready for Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. Okay? This antics has got to go. It's got to go. And I know I'm not one of the only fans out here that voice it every day. And that's all I got to say about this. I don't think about nothing else. They're both right in the instance. Malik Hooker, he's 100% right. Who cares about a podcast? It should be a success about the team. And Micah is also right. Malik Hooker, you should have said this inside the locker room and not on a podcast. And also, I do not agree with Malik Hooker's comment about Micah Parsons being fourth in line for a contract. That is absolutely false. It is CeeDee Lamb, then Micah. Nobody else should be getting paid. Sorry, I got hysterical. This team frustrates me more than you know. But if you enjoy my reaction to this, comment down below any other videos you'd like to see from me regarding the Cowboys or NFL in general. Subscribe for more. Like the video. And as always, peace, love, and positivity.